Alright legends, welcome along to a brand new video. Now this is going to be interesting. I was actually in bed this morning listening to podcasts. I just woke up Sunday morning, taking it easy, decided to have a lie in. So I flicked on the phone and went into a few podcasts and was in through SoundCloud and whatnot. I was kind of just drifting through sleep and being awake for a few hours, and the whole time there's podcasts playing in the background. So I am not at this point 100% sure which of the podcasts it was I was listening to, but there was a guy popped up and I can remember being awake, kind of awake and listening to this, and then I thought very interesting information, but quite swiftly fell asleep again. It's just the way a Sunday morning is these days. Working all week and training and whatnot, by the time you hit either Saturday or Sunday, you're just take a bit of time and just be unconscious for a bit. So that's where I was at this morning, and essentially it was about getting views and whatnot on your YouTube channels and this, that and the other. And I've been doing it for quite a while now. By no stretch of the imagination do I know 100% what I'm doing. I more regularly get it wrong than I get it right. But it was very interesting, this little bit of information that popped out this morning, and it was, and I've said it before on this channel, when it comes to people being just real pains on your content, you shouldn't be afraid to just hit the block button on this person, whoever it may be, and get them out of there. They get to a certain point where they've just been going out of their way to be an absolute pain, just cause you as much trouble as they can. You block them, get them out of the way. I've done that quite a few times over the years. There's quite a few people that have earned that, but the info that came out in this YouTube channel, or this podcast this morning, sorry, was the fact that the gold mine, the potential gold mine that these people can actually be to your YouTube channel. This guy was like, do you know what, no one is going to take on your content quite as much as the people that hate you. And it really hit home to me, because I remember there was a kid, I had to take him off the YouTube channels. I had to block him from it completely because he was just been an absolute idiot. Like, I mean, he was just going to town on it, and just had a real distaste for me. And he's one of these people that was like, you'd upload a video and within 15 minutes or so he'd be on there, and he's like, oh, look at you making videos, nobody's watching them. I was like, it's only been online for 15 minutes, there's hundreds and thousands of minutes worth of video going online constantly every minute. It's just, the fact that you're getting double figures these days is an absolute godsend. But this doesn't calculate for these people. They're the sort of ones that think that you'll stick a video online and you wake up the next morning, you're an absolute millionaire, and if you're not, then you're doing something wrong. But I have said it before too, it's very difficult to get it right, because just everything's changing that much, that quickly these days. Once you find something that does work, that doesn't guarantee that a month to 2 months, 3 months down the line, that the exact same thing is going to keep working. So you constantly have to be trying to do whatever you can to try and keep yourself sort of educated on it and keep going. But essentially what this guy had said was, stop blocking people unless they've been beyond a joke. They can really set the bar really high before you hit that block button on someone, because these people are going to watch your content, and maybe not all of it, but you're still going to get that click through from them. And I remember this one kid, it just popped into my head there as I was saying that. He questioned the fact that, why I was making videos and no one watching them and whatnot. And I was like, that's not technically true. It's obvious that I've got at least one hardcore fan, and I just didn't get it at all, and I'm just like, it's you, mate. You know what? I can guarantee once I upload something, I'm going to hear from you straight away. So like you're coming in here and trying to tell me that nobody's interested in the content, and you're coming in here and you're getting that bent out of shape that you have to comment on it, that you don't like it. I'm just like, you know, it's a contradiction. You know, if you don't like something, you don't watch it. You don't sit there and watch the thing and complain to the person about making it. It is what it is. You get this all the time. So what the guy recommended doing is, if you have a block list and you've got a lot of people on it, read it out, empty it for a month to 6 months, and see what sort of change that makes to your channel. And that's exactly what I'm going to be doing while this video is uploading. I'm going to be taking a lot of the people that's on my block list now. A lot of the ones that are on there are really people that back in the day on the old YouTube channel, these were the guys that made me make the decision to rebrand to Coins Age Media, because there's a lot of people that I worked with back in the day that have a cult-like mentality, and once you work with them, they think they've got some sort of sick sense of ownership over your channel and everything you do. I've probably talked about that a few times in the past as well, but you know, there's people in there that you'd be very, very surprised that they were on there. You know, some of the things that was happening to my previous brand, JPM Phones Worldwide, a lot of the trouble that was getting into. Once I blocked these people from not just YouTube, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of stuff, all the things that was causing problems for me just stopped overnight. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I'm not just taking the blocks off YouTube, I'm also taking them off Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of stuff, just to see what happens over the next 3 to 6 months, to see if these guys, a lot of them, in all fairness, when all this was going down, they were very young, they were in the university system, they were inside that little bubble that I like to talk about, that little safety bubble, safety net sort of deal, which is university in the UK right now. And it's just, you know, there's no, and this is really a subject for another time, there doesn't seem to be any real conversations on educating people about money. I know I never really got it growing up, whether it be school or whatever. It was just like you know, can you do your maths? Can you do your English? That's all they were interested in. But as far as actually making money and dealing with money goes, there was none of that there. So like a lot of these kids that were in the university system at that stage, they just didn't seem to understand that, you know, you're in here for what, 3, maybe 4 years worth, and you know, you've got all these student loans that nobody seems to think they ever need to pay back at that stage, and then, you know, they're financially sound for a few years. They're grand, everything's okay, you know, and they get lulled into that false sense of security that this is what it's going to be like in the real world. But it's not, far from it. Like, university will teach you, and you know, I don't like to be always putting it down, but it can teach you very well on how to do things. There's a lot of people I know that's went through the system, came out of it, the abilities they have are top of the line, absolutely fantastic, but they were not expecting the real world to work exactly, or they expected the real world to work exactly like it did in university. But when they come out and they realized, oh crap, I've got all this debt hanging over my head that I need to pay back now, I need to go get a job, maybe 2 jobs even, to pay all this stuff off. And because I'm doing that, you know, spend maybe 2 or 3, 4 years maybe paying back the bills, and they're not actually getting to do what they want to do in the real world. A lot of anger in there. So I'm hoping these kids now that I'm taking off the block have been out in the real world long enough to get that little bit of maturity in them that they didn't have whenever the block went on them. Now, in saying that, there's quite a few people in there that are middle-aged, that were just everything, any opinion that wasn't their opinion was an absolute fight, argument. You know, we're living in a time now where it just seems that you cannot have an opinion of your own. You know, cancel culture is probably at its height at the moment, but speaking from the perspective of living in Northern Ireland all my life, cancel culture has been alive and well here for a very long time. If you weren't from a certain background, a certain religion, you know, you were just, people were trying to step on you all the time. And the education system again is unreal for it here. Perfect example of that, I actually went through primary school with a few people, and when we get up to the end of it, there's an exam called the 11 plus, and it was like the transfer test. Whenever you're leaving the primary school, you were either going to go to high school or grammar school, whatever it was, and you did this test to see where you were ranking at and which school would be the best for you. But there was me and a few other people just decided, you know, the test wasn't something you actually legally had to take, so quite a few of us was just like, screw that, I'm going to high school, there's no point even sitting in this thing. So there's 3 people that I can mention out of my own personal life that even back then, as small children in primary school, just because me and a few of the other guys didn't take the 11 plus / transfer test, they haven't broke breath to us since. So there is, and you can deny it all you want, but there is a class system in life. You know, people are going to, truth of the matter is, people are going to make a 100% opinion on you based on maybe less than 10% of the available information about you. Doesn't matter how good you are at what you do, people will scan the surface essentially and make an opinion, 100% of opinion out of that. Classic example of that is YouTube here. I've got so many people that have jumped into the comments over the years that have clearly made an entire opinion from a video solely based upon the thumbnail and the title and not the actual content of the video. If they did actually sit and watch a lot of the videos I did back in 2016 and around that there time, they would have realised, and I'm talking about close friends here, even family, to bounce off the painkiller thing again. Like, there's a lot of people have just had no idea that I even went through that, even though I was publicly speaking about it on videos and whatnot. Like, I'm in trouble, I need to do something here. And you had people that you considered some of your closest friends on the face of the planet were like, yeah, your videos are class, you should keep making them, you know, they're brilliant, awesome, you're doing God's work, to quote one of them. And I'm like, you haven't watched any of this nonsense, have you? You know, the short film Conclusions was on around about the same time. When it was done, I was going through the painkiller thing. I was talking about doing 2 follow-up movies that were going to continue directly after it. And there was a lot of people, again, just the video title and the thumbnail, and they were just giving it death about what they thought the short film was going to be about. But you know, the title would have something about the film, but inside it, you know, you tend to digress and get into a few different things while you're making a video. And you know, I did bounce off the whole painkiller issue quite a few times, but then you had all these guys jumping in there about, oh, I'm not even going to say what they said because I don't want to get kicked off YouTube for it. It was an absolute nightmare. Like, I've been told to take a long walk off a short bridge, the whole 9 yards, and they all, most of them, consider themselves very, very clean living, But if you actually see some of the messages that come in privately from a lot of these people, very much an eye-opener. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. This is probably going to be one of the worst choices I've ever made, but you know, again, you know, if these guys are going to take 5 to 10% of the available information and make a 100% opinion on you, why should you worry about making content and putting it out there? You know, if these guys aren't willing to discover who you really are as a person, you know, why should their opinion count so much to you? So, yes, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you on the next one.